This, and I talked to so many normies after the speech because I wanted to hear what they had to say. And they kept reiterating, well, this speech wasn't for you, Hasan. It was for the moderates. It was for some mythical person. And that's the same thing that a lot of liberals in this community reiterated as well in the chat over and over again. Guys, this speech is not for us. It's for some other guy. It's not for us. It's for some other guy. The fuck are you talking about? Of course it's for you. You're the voter. Their starting point on negotiations regarding immigration is the right-wing border bill. In the next Congress, that bill will be even more right-wing if they lose the Senate. Yeah, it's genuinely devastating. And it is genuinely scary seeing what the fuck is unfolding right now. Anyway, on that note, let's get to Kamala Harris' speech and the way that mainstream media is presenting it or viewing it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it as well.
Kamala Harris becoming the first black woman and the first Asian American to accept the nomination of a major party.
Good morning, George. Well, Kamala Harris told the crowd here that she is no stranger to unlikely journeys, and last night she shared hers with the nation, reintroducing herself to voters, taking shots at Donald Trump, making her case, and yes, making history too. Overnight, Kamala Harris stepping onto the convention stage and into history.
On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
The first black woman and first Asian American to accept the nomination of a major party, sharing her American story. The daughter of immigrants, her worldview shaped by the strength of her mother.
She taught us to never
Like, the dynamic is really good because America is comprised of immigrants, okay? America is a nation of immigrants. So that dynamic on the aesthetic front is perfect. You have, on the one hand, a middle-class immigrant family, the daughter to a middle-class immigrant family of academics, right? Obviously, you know, as a black woman, taking advantage of like what a person like this from a background like this can do to get to the highest office. On the other hand, you have Tim Walz, a white guy, like just a perfect fucking white dude. All right. Straight up from the middle of America, from the heartland, who was a teacher and has a very progressive background. Like, it is a perfect ticket on that front, on the aesthetic front. The only thing that we don't have in this ticket is policies and a genuine commitment to progressive economic policies and a willingness to fight for said progressive economic policies. If they had that, and if they demonstrated that tonight and throughout this DNC, I would have a very different attitude. I would have a very different attitude right now, okay? Right now, this race seemingly is still very close. I think a lot of Democrats are you know, they consider this a done deal. Having said that, this race is currently only close and not one that Trump is like very clearly winning because of the Trump campaign's failures, because of Trump's failures, because of the Republican Party's failures, their hyper focus on weird culture war issues, their lack of interest in like offering people anything other than resentment and anger and frustration. Those are the reasons as to why the Kamala Harris, the Harris-Walz ticket is performing better, seemingly better, and has momentum behind it against the Trump-Vance ticket. She did roll out progressive economic policies last week. She even defended them from a non-deficit hog borderline MMT perspective, which is highly progressive. I know. I'm aware. I talked about that, except for this one, by the way, except for the housing policy, which is deregulation. I don't know what that is going to look like, and I don't really like it, but that's why I need to see the fucking policy papers. I told my coworker the same thing. I feel like Kamala isn't winning, Trump is losing. He laughed and called me a cynic. It's true. Anyone that tells you that that's not the case is delusional, okay? There isn't much that is fundamentally different than the Joe Biden campaign versus the Kamala campaign so far in terms of like what they've shown us, whether it be the Israel policy, whether it be like jingoistic sentiment in terms of like having a muscular military, whether it be even talking about fucking NATO. Biden also has some pretty solid, dare I say, progressive economic policies anyway that he talked about. On that front, they're also pretty closely aligned, which is a good thing, right? But it's supposed to be a focus on that and a willingness to fight on those boundaries. What you need to put forward in that situation is exactly that, not fucking vibes. I think overall, my fears early on when this swap out happened are now coming to unfold. I was worried that they would just simply see the momentum of the Biden-Harris swap out and the Waltz choice and just go, this is going to carry us across the finish line. We don't have to do anything else. And then the attacks would start coming, calling them radicals. If you recall, I said all of this. Republicans are going to start calling them radicals, communists, crazy. And on that point, in that situation, they had two options. Either say, we're not radical. These policies are popular. There's nothing radical about feeding children. There's nothing radical about, child tax credits. There's nothing radical about whatever, litany of progressive policies that they might have. And that you guys are the radical ones for being fucking weirdos that only care about like culture war shit and not actually putting food on people's tables. Or they would do the old school Democrat thing. Almost word for word said if they do what they're doing right now, they're dead in the water. Yes, not dead in the water necessarily, because again, the Trump side of the equation is too devastating. Like Trump is just so bad. They're doing a horrible job. He's maxed out on his name recognition. He's flailing around like a madman. Their campaign is underwater. It's sinking. It's hemorrhaging funds to Trump's legal battles. Like the Democrats are running on easy mode. So it's not done yet. But the problem is it should not be close. Just like I said with Biden, it should not be close. It should not be a close race at all. With Kamala Harris, that still remains. And yet it is. There was momentum, but I think this will ultimately soften that momentum. I thought that this would be a first-time Obama style campaign. They would activate those same demographics. They would go out and run the table. Young voters, Hispanic voters, black voters, and they would be able to even pick up some of the non-college educated voters back with a campaign of hope and change, similar to Barack Obama. Even though Kamala Harris obviously is not nearly as charismatic as Barack Obama, the policies would speak for themselves. What you would do for people would speak for itself. But they didn't do that, and now they are, in my opinion, running scared again. This, and I talked to so many normies after the speech because I wanted to hear what they had to say. And they kept reiterating, well, this speech wasn't for you, Hasan. It was for the moderates. It was for some mythical person, right? Some other guy. Not for me, but some other guy. And that's the same thing that a lot of liberals in this community reiterated as well in the chat over and over again. Guys, this speech is not for us. It's for some other guy. It's not for us. It's for some other guy. The fuck are you talking about? Of course it's for you. You're the voter. What are we talking about? This is a ridiculous calculation. It's copium. When you say things like running scared and Democrats are cowards, can you explain what you mean? I've been here since the 2020 election and I'm still not 100% clear on what you mean there. Easy. Running scared and Democrats are cowards is Democrats let Republicans run the conversation. Republicans don't campaign every 4 years like the Democrats do. They campaign every single day. They change the narrative. They change the discourse on a regular basis. They know that their policies ultimately are very unpopular, oftentimes violent, maybe even abhorrent and gross in terms of the immigration agenda, for example. Trump is running on mass deportations of migrants. In order for that to stick, he's also running on lies about migrants being responsible for hundreds of thousands of murders, for example, something that Trump says all the time. This is an abject lie. It's completely made up. It's pure hysteria. Democrats do not counter message against that and have not counter message against that for the past 4 fucking years. And obviously, when there's no counter narrative that brings people back to the fucking truth, to the middle, to the center, or even, dare I say, the left, obviously, people are going to start believing that. If only one side is chirping about migrants being rapists and drug dealers and shit, okay, and the other side's not saying anything, then yeah, people are going to fucking... Oh, God damn it. What is happening today? What is happening today, man? What the fuck? What is going on? What are these little blips over and over again? Anyway, when Democrats don't counter message against like the Republican lies on immigration, they literally leave too much on the table and people become more reactionary on the issue of immigration, as Americans have. And then you arrive at like insane polling numbers, such as 60% of Americans are positive on mass deportation of migrants. It's crazy. Dude, you've said to yourself that a random Democrat would win over Biden. Is it not a good idea that Kamala isn't presenting any policies then in order not to mess up that bonus? Wait, what? No, dude, absolutely not. A generic Democrat would win over Biden because a generic Democrat is associated with like the Democratic Party's policies. That's why I always say in the heartland of America, in the South, everywhere around this country, the most popular thing is a lifeless, faceless ballot measure that is the most progressive ballot measure you've ever seen, not associated with a fucking Democrat at all. It's directly the policies that are popular. No, you said a generic Democrat ticket, not a faceless person? Yes, when I say a generic Democrat ticket, I mean the Democratic Party's platform is popular. The Democratic Party's policies are popular. I mean, I always said a generic Democrat polls better because people are obviously not frustrated with the Democratic Party in general. They're frustrated with Joe Biden, okay?